this on?
Oh, no, it's fine. And so, can you tell me your position, or what do you do?
My name is Deborah Potter. I run NewsLab, which is a nonprofit resource for journalists. It's based in Washington, D.C.
And so you said you've done several of these tabletop exercises. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I have. Primarily working with the Radio, Television, Digital News Association and their foundation. They've been doing for several years a series called News and Terrorism. And they put together scenarios that are specific to an area. In fact, we did one in Kansas City some years ago, where they essentially have representatives of the news media, scientific community, public information officers, emergency managers. And we run through a scenario where things purportedly happen, and we want to know how people are reacting and what information they want to get and so on. And it's always a really interesting learning experience.
Sure. Was this particular tabletop exercise pretty similar to the other ones you've done? Anything different here, or special with this one?
Well, I think because there's a campus, and that adds an additional layer of difficulty, because you're dealing not only with local police, which journalists are accustomed to doing, but also campus police, and the relationship between the campus and the community. It does get a little more complicated.
Have you been to or participated in tabletop exercises at other schools, or is this the first one you've done on campus?
No, it's the first one I've done on campus.
Okay. As I was sitting here watching it, there's this interesting dynamic that kind of comes up with the relationship between journalists and public relations people, and there's these relationships gone on as long as there's been news. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? When you go to these things, do you see a lot of clashing between the news people and the PR people?
Well, they're always very polite at in these kinds of situations. I think that there is tension. There's always tension. The truth is that public information officers, emergency managers, experts, they want to get all of the information together and all right all at once and then make it available. Well, the journalists want as much as they can get immediately. In fact, they want it sooner than that. So there's primarily a tension in terms of when information is provided, not what information. I think both of these groups want the facts to get out. They want the truth to come out. But a lot of journalists want it a lot sooner than people in public information want to make it available.
Sure. Do you think these types of exercises maybe help rebuild some bridges in between news people and PR people, or kind of help them see the other side of the fence? It seems like some people are mentioning that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a very good way to sort of understand how the other side thinks. Because I do think that journalists, their traditional reaction when they're not given information is, oh, they're stonewalling, or they're lying, or they don't want to tell us. And I truthfully, in most cases, believe that they do want to tell, they just don't know it yet, or they don't have all of the information yet, so they don't want to put it out in bits and pieces. Let's say, for example, in our scenario, there were 3 students killed. The university is not going to put out one name at a time. Right? They may have notified next of kin, they may be ready with one person, but they're not going to put it out until they have it all. The journalists want to know as much as they can right now. So that's the kind of tension I'm talking about.
Sure. I think that's all I have for you. Thanks so much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
Are you touring the BRI?